Flipped Learning 123 will introduce you to the structure of flipped learning. Our goal is to transform as many lectures as possible into active learning experiences. The flipped learning model is one way to do that, and it's got 3 essential elements. To design a flipped learning experience, we need to think about the individual space before the session, formative assessment, and the group space where active learning occurs. Our first design target is the individual space, what we often call pre-session work. This means we review the learning objectives and determine the target cognition of each one. Is it aimed at lower or higher order thinking? The Flipped Learning Global Initiative recommends we use Bloom's taxonomy as a guide. Higher order thinking is often best stimulated by engagement in active learning. Therefore, when we design flipped learning, we assign learning objectives that target lower order thinking to pre-session work, the individual space. And we assign learning objectives that target higher order thinking to the group space for collaborative learning and active learning experiences. Our next design target is formative assessment. Formative assessment has 2 purposes. One is to offer students feedback so they know they're on target before they get to the session. Formative assessment is essential for instructors too. It identifies gaps in knowledge so we can adapt instruction in the group space. And finally, design target 3, the group space, designing for active and collaborative learning. Active learning builds memory. About 70% of what we say and write in combination helps us to remember what we're supposed to be learning. Also, per Dale's research in 1969, we remember about 90% of what we do. Therefore, in the group space, we use active learning and fill in the gaps as needed. Active learning strategies include teamwork and peer teaching. And you're probably familiar with Think, Pair, Share. This is an active learning tool to help students work together to resolve a case or question. Active learning can be fun, like an escape room, where student teams work on a series of tasks like cases at their own pace and earn rewards. That could mean MK points, leading the debrief, and simple things like healthy snacks to fuel thinking. Role play or simulation emphasize learning by doing and stimulate higher order thinking. So that's the basic structure of flipped learning. Start by reviewing and assigning learning objectives to the individual and group spaces using Bloom's taxonomy. Design formative assessment to identify gaps and help adapt learning in the group space. Design the group space for active learning.